What's up, everybody? We're back with another video, and we're back working on the E36. If you saw in the last video, you saw that we got the LS rebuilt and we got it refreshed and ready to go to drop back in to the E36, but we have a few more things that we have to do to it before. So currently I have it set up and prepped to come off of the engine stand. I pulled the pilot bearing out of the old crankshaft last night, and that's been sitting in the freezer overnight. So I'm going to pull the engine off the stand, install the pilot bearing, install the flywheel, install the clutch, and then connect the engine to the transmission and then put the headers on, because for the E36, that is the only way to get it in with the T56 is to have everything together, you know, fully assembled to drop in, because you don't really have the space to feed in the long tubes and everything, putting the engine in. So yeah, so I'm not gonna bore you too much. I'm gonna try and, you know, skip over some of the stuff, but also, you know, show most of it too. Well, show the interesting parts. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to work. Alright, so it's been a little while since I picked up the camera, but the engine is in, engine and transmission are both in, both mounted up and installed, so no jacks or anything. Everything is up. So making pretty good progress. Yeah, after I got there, I felt accomplished, and it got late, so I called it quits for the night. But I also did go to Summit earlier today, and I picked up the last few pieces that I need to actually get it to where I can start it up. So all it is now is just putting it back together and installing these last few pieces. And I'm waiting on a new power steering reservoir, because I did break the one that's on the engine now when I was taking off the return hose, so that's my fault. But that's coming tomorrow, so that's gonna be real quick and easy. So real quick, I made a run to Summit, and I picked up the Brian Tooley Racing trunnion upgrade. I haven't done the trunnion upgrade in the engine, so yeah, it's a good thing that I'm doing it now. It was something that was on my mind that I needed to do, but just never got around to it. And especially now that I'm tracking the car, I definitely wanted to do that. So I got that, and I also got 4 bottles of the Redline ATF. So now I got the good stuff, because I actually used the regular Dexron that is recommended for the T56, and it didn't shift good. Then I used this, and it shifted real good. So I'm gonna stick with this. So the next plan of attack is I'm gonna go ahead and install the drive shaft so I can fill the transmission. And I also got some heat sleeve. I was gonna buy some, but my dad actually had some already, and he gave this to me. So I'm gonna put this on the starter wires, because I see that they're getting a little worn out from the heat. They're not burnt up or crispy or anything, but definitely just want to put some heat sleeving on them just to make sure that nothing happens in the future. So let's go ahead and get to work and try and get as much done as we can, so I can install the trunnion upgrades and we can actually get the car started. But the only thing, I don't have any snap ring pliers here, so I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to bring some from work, and then we can get those installed. But if I can try and get everything else done today, tomorrow we'll be having a first start. So let's get to work. So I got the clutch line ran in, the Chase Blaze clutch line, but for some reason it's fighting me going into the slave. So I'm gonna just wait, and I'm gonna go ahead and start wiring up the engine, and I'm gonna come back to that. right, so the manifolds on injectors were already in the manifold. I never removed them from the manifold. So now the next step before I start plugging things in and routing the harness and also installing the extension harness for the cam sensor, I've got new fuel rails. If you've been following the channel, you know I've been on and off having fuel leaks with the fast fuel rails that I had. So I went and picked up the Summit fuel rails, and the big reason why I went with the Summit over the Holley or anything else was the size of these brackets. My dad has Summit rails on his LS swapped S10, and he has the big bulky brackets like this. Of course, the kit costs a little bit more because of these brackets, but it's a lot more stable than the little L brackets that come with the Holley rails and the fast rails. So spent a little extra money, got these. Regardless, it's billet aluminum. When you look at all the fuel rails, they're all pretty much exactly the same. So I don't see any difference in the fuel rail itself. Most of the differences are just in the brackets. So gonna go ahead and get all the O-rings lubed up, get the O-rings for the injectors lubed up. We can go ahead and install the fuel rails, and we can keep pushing and get everything wired up. All right, rails on. Now we can plug up the injectors and route the harness to like the alternator into the cam sensor and everything. I love that once even on the LS, you don't even have to do like a serious wire tuck. Once it's just plugged in and you route them in between the manifold and the valve cover, it just looks neat and just out the way. So that's one side done. All right, so we made some good progress last night, even though we weren't able to do the rocker arms. We still got a lot more completed. Was able to get the manifold on, fuel rails, all the fuel lines, the return and the feed lines, and the crossover. Got all the injectors wired up, remounted the throttle cable, plugged up the sensor for the the fuel pressure sensor, the coolant temp sensor, and also the alternator. These have to wait for the intake to go back on. And yeah, so made some good progress. And before I picked up the camera, I also just mounted up the slave cylinder, the clutch master, and got that mounted up and the line mounted and everything. So that's good to go. I just have to mount the pedal up. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot how the pedal went together. So yeah, so we're gonna go to the rockers now. So we're gonna go ahead and start on that. And I'm gonna take one rocker apart and show you the difference, because basically the only thing holding the OEM rockers together is the assembly. It's like the press and fit of holding it together, whereas the BTR ones, and also the Texas Speed, but I have the BTR. The BTR ones use a clamp, snap ring. Yeah, that's what it is. A snap. Sorry, getting tongue tied. Use a snap ring. They use a snap ring to hold it together, so that's a lot more reliable, because these, over time they wear out, so they could just fall apart. And once I get it apart, I'm going to show you there's a bunch of small needle bearings in there, and if that comes apart and falls through your engine, it's just toast. So let's go ahead and get to work. All right, and then doing these is actually really simple. So there's two sides of the rocker if you're going to be doing this yourself. There's a flat side of the rocker like this, and then the non-flat side like that. You just need a 22mm socket and a 13mm socket. So you put the flat side of the rocker onto the 22, get it centered, put the 13 on top, and then you just press that in. And just like that. And then these are the needle bearings that I was talking about. So those will just fall apart and be all in your engine, clog your pickup tube, destroy your oil pump. Just bad business. All right, so now to install the trunnion upgrade, first you gotta take just a bare rocker arm and one bearing, and then you face with the letters facing out. Go ahead. All right. That's one side done. And then you take this, drop that in there, into that. Line up the bottom washer on there to keep it centered. And then that way you're not pressing on the trunnion itself. And then you grab another bearing. Alright. And then there we go. But the only thing is there's one more step with a washer and then the snap ring, but I'm just gonna knock out all of these to this step first, and then I'll come back and do the snap rings on all of them. All right, y'all, so I've done a terrible job of keeping y'all updated, and it's been a while since I picked up the camera. So I'm gonna just go ahead and update you on where we are right now. So as you already know, the engine's in. Last, when I was installing the rocker arms, I got those completed, soaked them in oil, and installed all the rocker arms and the push rods, torqued everything down, got the valve covers installed the coil packs, got those wired up. Also got the new power steering reservoir installed and got the lines routed on that, and everything plugged up over here. Engine grounds are mounted, and then coming underneath the car, the drive shaft is in, heat shield is up, and I still use the OEM heat shield. Exhaust is in, wideband is wired in. So the full exhaust is in and mounted up. So we're really good to go. And I also filled the transmission too. The transmission's full of fluid. I had to do that before I hung the Y pipe because the Y pipe gets in the way of the fill plug. So did that. And then the clutch master is also mounted too. And I just have to put the clutch pedal back together and then bleed the master. But the bleeder line is mounted and the master is routed. So yeah, we're pretty good to go. Right now, what I'm about to do is I went up to AutoZone, picked up some new NGK Iridium spark plugs, got 8 of those. So I'm gonna replace those, get some new ones in there. Got some break-in oil because I'm just gonna do one heat cycle, get it up to temp, and then I'm gonna drain it again and then do another oil change and drive that about 400, 500 miles, and then do another oil change, and that will be the oil that I really run in it. Have the filters over there. And yeah, once really I get those in, it'll pretty much be ready to start. I won't be able to let it run up to temperature because I don't have the radiator in, and I won't be able to fill it with coolant and everything, because I also need to get a coolant plug for the head, the passenger side head down in there, because I had the sensor in there, but it was just from when I had the OEM, not the OEM, or the GM OEM computer with the wiring specialties harness, so I had the adapter to get the coolant temp to work with the gauge cluster. But now that I'm on the Holly, I don't have it anymore, and I actually sold, it was still in the engine, but I sold it with the harness when I sold it to the guy. So just a few more things to button up before it's actually completely finished, but we will be able to get it started here pretty soon, hopefully. All right, now we should be good to go. Got all 8 spark plugs installed, all the wires installed, and also got the crank pulley tightened down because I put the front wheel back on. I still need to torque this one down, but I cleared up space in the back and I got the back wheels down, put it in gear, and yeah. So should be good to go now. Should be. So I'm gonna just go over my list one more time, make sure everything for startup is good, because obviously it's not complete. But yeah, so I'm gonna just look over that one more time and then install the battery, well, reconnect the battery and update the Holly for the 58 tooth crank, and you know, just the minor changes that we made, just update the system for that, and we should be ready for startup. So let's see. All right, hopefully this battery still got some juice. It's been some months. Oh yeah, the light ain't flickering tonight. That's what I like, that's what I like. All right, so I tripped the circuit breaker for the fuel pumps, or circuit breakers for the fuel pumps, and also disconnected the coil pack harness because I want to crank it over and build up oil pressure before anything. But like I said, we have to update the Holly first. All right, I reconnected the fuel pumps and reconnected the injector harness, not the injector harnesses, the coil pack harnesses too. So now we should be able to build up some fuel pressure, make sure we don't have any leaks, and go for our first start. All right, so no first startup right now, need to order a new fitting. It's actually leaking from inside here, and there's no way to get to there. I guess it's an O-ring or something in there, I don't know. But that's where it's just spraying out fuel like a lot. So yeah, gotta order a new fitting. This is annoying. All right, so it's the next day. I got the new fuel fitting, already installed it, so we good to go. And I actually primed the system like 2 or 3 times already, and I checked over everything and there's no leaks. So now should be good to start. I'm just gonna cycle the key one more time and just double check everything, and then we're gonna go for a crank. Should be good to go. There is just a little dampness around the fuel pressure sensor, so I think I need to remove that and add some more Teflon to it, but we should be good to go. It runs. I was running like I had a stupid misfire, but it runs. That's why I was running like crap. The map got unplugged. All right, y'all, so I did a little bit of research and I found out it's not just a straightforward swap and changing the software. There's one more step you gotta do. This is going for both from the 58 tooth to a 24 tooth or from a 24 tooth to a 58 tooth. Regardless of whichever conversion you're doing, if you are doing one, you have to swap the A and C pins on the cam sensor harness, which is the power and the signal wires. I was doing some reading and watching some videos. Some people said that you had to like splice into the crank sensor too and get a 5-volt reference for that, because that's a 5-volt sensor instead of a 12-volt. You don't have to do that because the Holley automatically does it for you pretty much when you go into the system. Because what I did to basically verify that that was all that I had to do, I went into my laptop to the Holley software and I did a custom ignition parameter where it's only reading off of the crank sensor right now. I turned off the cam sensor, so it's running better. It's not running completely efficient, but it's reading idle, whereas before the car would start and run, but I wasn't getting an RPM signal on my digital dash. So now I'm actually getting an RPM signal, and yeah, so it's not running exactly perfect, but it's actually idling smooth and it's not misfiring, and it's actually getting an RPM signal. So let me go ahead and start it up for you now so you can see. And this is still on the parameter set with no cam sensor, so it's just reading off of the crank right now. The cooling system's empty and the belt's not on, so the alternator's not charging, so I don't want to keep it running for too long. But as you can see, it's running way better than it was before. Now I'm gonna just swap the A and C pins on the cam sensor and then go back into the software and set it up to read off of both the cam and the crank, and we should be good to go. And actually it should idle a lot smoother now instead of kind of like surging and searching for idle. I'm gonna also just go through and make sure that everything's tight and I don't have any vacuum leaks. But yeah, I kind of don't want to leave you guys off here. I want you to like actually see it running and complete and working. So I'm gonna see if I have something that I can depin this connector with here. If not, I'm gonna grab something from work tomorrow and bring it home so that way I could depin it and swap it over, because I do not want to damage this connector. All right, so it's been some big progress since I last picked up the camera. The car is basically completely back together now. Coolant system's all plumbed, radiator's back in, front end's back on, AC condenser, everything is connected. Power steering cooler lines are in, so now I can fill the power steering fluid, which I already did. Filled the coolant. I actually made my own plug because I had the temp adapter in there, right there. I had the BMW temp sensor adapter in there. The OEM GM coolant plugs are like 50 bucks, like 40, 50 bucks. So I was like, I'm gonna just make my own. Found out it's 12 by 1.5 thread, so I got a bolt, chopped it, put some thread locker on there, called it a day. Filled it up with coolant, no leaks right now. So it's been filled with coolant for a few minutes now. So I already swapped the pins on the camshaft harness. So now I'm just gonna upload the new ignition parameters into the ECU and I'm gonna start it up and let it run. And actually I'm gonna let it run up to temp. The only thing I haven't done yet is I didn't wire up the fans yet because I don't have the metal connectors to wire those back up, but that's the only thing. So I'm just gonna, if everything, you know, holds together and everything's good, which it should be, it will be, I'm gonna let it run up to about like 160 degrees up to operating temp. Well, the thermostat opens at 160. I believe I have my fans coming on at 165, I think, in the Holly. So I'm gonna just let it run up to about 160, 165, and I'm gonna turn it off, change the oil, put some fresh oil in it, and then we'll be ready for a test drive. Off the power steering. The coolant's a little low, as expected. First start up to operating temp was a success. Nothing's leaking, but it is doing like a little idle surge, so I'm gonna just go over everything again, make sure I don't have any vacuum leaks anywhere, and yeah, but good to go, good to go. Feeling good, happy for that. So yeah, E36, LS E36 is back. Just before the new season too. I am cutting it close. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I got enough time to drive around, break it in, make sure everything else is good. But yeah. So we got a little over a week before the first track day of the season. Well, first competition of the season. It's the Time Attack event at Atlanta Motorsports Park. So this season we're running 4 events, but I'll talk more about that in a later video. But yeah, so the next video, you actually won't see me driving it, even though I really want to drive it. I had some stuff come in, and I have some major interior things to switch around before we start driving and get back outside with this thing. So, hold on. So yeah, that would be the next video. Got some pretty dope and pretty cool mods coming for the interior of this thing, and then it will be even more of a track weapon after that, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna let y'all go here. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate everybody, you know, tuning in with the ups and downs of the season, you know, the racing, the content. It's kind of been all over the place. I haven't really been too consistent with it. So if you are tuning in still, I really do appreciate y'all. I appreciate it. Seeing the comments that I get and, you know, people asking questions. It does motivate me to keep putting videos out. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. So with that, I'm gonna let y'all go. Appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate you subscribing, and I hope to see y'all next time. And we'll be back with some driving content real soon. So see you later.